you saying one of the pointers that accused number 3, or let me say according to you, one of the many pointers that accused number 3 was involved in the commission, or actually was the trigger man, is because of the fact that he was wearing a top that was beige or khaki or cream white in color.
Manje kuthi-ke wena-ke engeke zinkomba-ke esikhombisa ukuthi umsolo wesithathu uyena owayephethe isibhamu ukuthi wayegqoke i-top lena ekuthiwa umbala wayo uyi-beige.
So I'm saying, my lord, if you look at, maybe let me explain it from the beginning so that we are clear. If you look at the statements of the people who were inside the house, they said the person, and that is why I refer to the description they give, that the person who was armed with a firearm and who had a struggle with the deceased, they described that person of having a dreadlocks and then wearing, others are saying beige, brown, or khaki jacket. You know, you get different description. And I'm saying, if you look at this photo number 12, there was that collaboration in that regard in terms of the khaki jacket. So so that's what I said before we adjourned for tea time.
Manje-ke engizama ukuchaza-ke ilokhu ukuthi labantu-ke ababese iy'tatimende zalabantu laba ababesendlini nabasho ukuthi ubani lo wayephethe isibhamu nalo owahelezisana nokubambana nomufi yilona owayenama-dreadlocks futhi nowayegqoke leli bhantshi leli eliwukhakhi njengoba kubona angithi leli bhantshi ilona lelibonakala esithombeni unumber 12 so ukuthi umuntu lapho ugqoke ibhantshi eliwukhakhi.
You just indicated that you never went back to the witnesses after receipt of these photos to confirm with them what is depicted on these photos, not so?
No, I didn't, my lord.
So sangiphindele kubofakazi laba ukuthi uyoqinisekisa lokho abebekusho usuphethe lezi zinto bathi cha angizange ngiye.
Thank you, Brig. So that basically means that you never went back to them and asked them what kind of a jacket that he was wearing, whether it was a sweater, whether it was a lumber, whether it was a formal jacket, whether it was a hoodie, whether it was a leather jacket, etc., etc. Never went back to find out from them. When you're saying a jacket, what kind of a jacket was it? Not so.
Kusho ukuthi awuzange uphindele kubona labantu wayobabuza ukuthi lento oyigqokile kwakuyijezi noma kwakuyilamba noma kwakuyibhantshi noma kwakuyibhantshi elenziwe ngesikhumba leyo jwayele kuthiwa uyi-leather. Kusho awuzange uphindele wayoqinisekisa lo.
My lord, as I've said, perhaps that question I've said, yes, I didn't go back to them, but one needs to look at the investigation that we're embarking on in its entirety, not in isolation. There were already statements, and some of the witnesses gave more than one statement describing clearly, my lord, what was the intruder wearing. I come in on board to take over this investigation in 2018, where I'm assigned to lead. I have all the facts before me in terms of what is contained in the statement. But in addition, when now the focus is now on the 5 accused, I already have, particularly when we're dealing with accused number 3, a confession, my lord, HH1 and JJ1. So you get that collaboration. So it's not an isolated. I'm getting this question to be saying, for example, my lord, if it was an early stage where I'm an initial investigator, and now this accused person, suspect, is then or becomes on our line of sight, yes, I think then you will embark on the approach that Advocate Mnisi is asking me. But it's different where I came in. It was 2018, 6 years later. There were statements made by the people who were inside the house explaining how the intruders were dressed. But further to that, my lord, you now had exhibit HA, HH, and JJ implicating all the 5 accused, including accused 3.
Uma ufuna ukuyizwisisa kahle le ndaba ufanele ubheke konke ubheke ngoba ufanele sibheke uphenyo lonke singabheki nje izinto ezitheni ngoba phela njengoba ngisho nje bese kukhona nestatement ezalethwa ezichazayo ukuthi kwenzekani ngalolu suku. Manje kufanele ubheke konke ukuthi yini eyabekwa yini esayithola ngoba emva mase mina sengingena lapha kwasekukhona nane statement sokwamukela icala esasikhona. So ukwazi ukuthi uvele uthathe into eyodwa ucaphuna into eyodwa nje ngoba mina ngathatha lolu phenyo ngo-2018 sokudlule iminyaka eyisithupha. Manje-ke zasisezikhona ney'tatimende zonke ezichazayo kodwa okunye okusemqoka la ukuthi-ke kwasekukhona-ke nokwamukela icala lapha ku-HH no-JJ.
But furthermore, my lord, one will remember that the issue of identification once happened, where we dealt with it yesterday, where someone was identified, arrested, and later found to be a wrong person. I don't think it would have been a wise decision for me to follow that same route, where now, because someone says this is a person, now you want to go to those people. By the way, you were still under investigation in order to collaborate or dispute what was being said. And now you follow that same route of using the ID parade, my lord. It's not the option that I would have followed, my lord.
Futhi-ke uqhubekela phambili ukuthi angithi kwasekukhona nomuntu owayekhonjiwe waseboshwa kwagcina sekutholakala ukuthi lo muntu kwakungeyena. Manje ngibona ngathi kwakungeke kulunga ukuthi nami ngivele ngilandele le ndlela le yokuphenya ababeyenzile yokuthi basebenzise ID parade ngoba kuyabonakala ukuthi ibingengisize kakhulu.
And I'm saying at this stage, my lord, when this album was made available to me, my lord.
Ngisho ukuthi ngalesi sikhathi-ke i-album lena ingase ngikwazi ukuyifinyelela.
That's my answer, my lord.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigadier. One of the witnesses who was in the house described the kind of a jacket that the gun toter had as a jacket with a woolen collar. I'm not so sure whether you are aware of that description.
Angazi noma yazi yini ukuthi kukhona omunye ofakazi ababelapha endlini owathi uma echaza-ke i-top noma ibhantshi leli ligqoke ilo okuthiwa wayephethe isibhamu uthi-ke la ngenhla kwayo kwakukhona-ke into engathi yenziwe ngovolo iwuli ngesilungu.
My lord, although I cannot paste the exact statement, I seem to recall that I may have come across such, my lord, and that is why I said some were even saying beige, brown, but others were saying khaki. That is why I'm saying, my lord, when you look at the description, you need to look at the evidence holistically. So you don't look, if you look at one puzzle, you may not find what we found at the end. So it's one puzzle, but you investigate, and as you investigate, you get corroborating evidence that gives a clear picture at the end of the day. But yes, when you look at the description that was given by the people who were inside the house, even the color, my lord, is not consistent. Not all of them are saying khaki. Others are saying brown, beige, then you get khaki, and then possibly what Advocate Mnisi is saying. But at the end of the day, when sight was set on this accused, my lord, corroborating evidence other than the color was then found. And I've mentioned some of the things that we found other than the top that is wearing, my lord.
Yebo ngiyakuzwa lokho kodwa-ke kuningi obekufanele kubhekwe ngoba phela ofakazi mabeletha ubufakazi kukhona la uthola khona ukuthi bayehluka. Omunye wathi uma echaza lo mbala lo wami uthi ubeige, omunye athi ubrown, omunye athi ukhaki. Manje kufanele ufune nezinye izinto ezingakwazi ukuthi zisize ukuthi zilethe isithombe esiphelele so ukuze sikwazi ukuthi sitholisise kahle ukuthi lo muntu lona impeleni kwakuwumuntu onjani. Ngeke sivele nje sithi no sizothatha lo mbala noma sithathe lo mbala ngoba-ke kugcina-ke kutholakala ukuthi abantu babona ngey'ndlela ezehlukene ezingakwazi ukuthi zigcine zikhiphe umbala wodwa. Manje kufanele ukuthi sithole nezinye izinto ezizokwazi ukuthi zilekelele ubufakazi esibutholayo.
But furthermore, my lord, one should not also be ignorant of the assertion that was made by JJ1 and HH and JJ. One could not be ignorant of that fact that if that assertion is correct to say the trigger point is the person mentioned there, then one needs to be cautious of what that person says when he speaks to the police.
And futhi-ke uqhubekela phambili asikwazi ukuthi sizibe lokhu okulapha ku-JJ naku-HA ukuthi nokuthi ke sifanele sibheke ukuthi yini le ayisho lona umese iyotshela amaphoyisa.
Yes, my lord, that's my answer.
Thank you. A very quick one on your constant reference to Exhibit HH and JJ. As this was a prosecutor-led investigation, I have reasons to believe that it must have been brought to your attention that there are rules that are governing the applicability, there are rules of law that are governing the applicability of the operation of a confession insofar as co-perpetrators are concerned, not so?
Masibuyela ke lapho ku-HH no JJ njengoba ushilo ukuthi kowayehola uphenyo kakhulu kwakumshushisi angazi noma iyazini ukuthi kukhona imithetho imigomo nemibandela esetshenziswayo mayelana nokuthathwa ke kwezitatimende zokwamukela icala.
My lord, we didn't get there, and I don't think it was necessary. I am aware that you can't use the confession, for example, of accused two. It can't be admissible on the other accused. That I'm aware. But it does not mean, my lord, you cannot collaborate and follow what is mentioned in that confession. That's a different approach, my lord.
Ngiyazi ukuthi ke kukhona imithetho elandelwayo njengokuthi ke awukwazi ukuthi uthathe istatement sikamsolo wesibili sokwamukela icala ebese ke usisebenzisa kulabanye abasolo kodwa ke akusho ukuthi sifanele siqhubeke sizibe okwashiwo noma okwavela kuleso statement kodwa ke kufanele siqhubekele phambili siphenye ukuthi lokho kushiwo lapha kungaba yini iqiniso.
Thank you, Brigadier. Brigadier, you would also agree with me that that garment, I'll refer to it as a garment, that is depicted in photo number 12 of Exhibit O. And yes, that also depicts it being worn by accused number 3. It could not have been the only garment that was produced in the market of clothes, which is of a similar nature, not so?
Kusho nje amasibheka ke lento egqokwe lapha ethombeni lapha isithombe ses-12 egqokwe umsolo wesithathu akuyona into eyenzwa iyodwa vo ilaba abathungayo bakhona nezinye ezathungwa sadayiswa kunjalo.
I don't have stats with me, my lord, but common sense would tell me that it cannot be the only one. They would have manufactured, I think, perhaps even different sizes of this. But that is that's not a point of what we relied on when we investigated. A certain color of a top, my lord, which was worn by the perpetrator that had a firearm, was mentioned. And in addition to that, the issue of dreadlocks was mentioned. In addition to that, my lord, you get then other collaborating evidence in terms of statements that we've obtained. Advocate Mnisi is aware of that, and that is why I also referred to JJ and HH. When you take that, my lord, it drives you to say this collaborates with what was said in addition by the witnesses who were inside the house. So you can't take it alone and say this is the color, because it's not a standalone piece of evidence, my lord. It's supported by the other evidence.
Yebo, umbala ke into statistics iyachaza ukuthi into ayikwazi ukwakhiwa iyodwa. Ngiyacabanga futhi ukuthi wathi nje uma bakhale lento eyayigqokwe umsolwa bangaba bezakhe zaphu kwaba no size abehlukile and futhi iningi la edayiswa khona kodwa ke asibhekanga kuphela umbala walento ebegqokwe ilokuthiwa iphetty spam sabheka nokunye futhi nokuthi kwakukhona nalokho kwama dreadlocks saphinde sahamba nakobunye ubufakazi esikutholayo nezitatimende njengoba ke ngimphathile u-HA no-JJ kodwa ke into esemqoka ukuthi sasizama ukuthi sithole ukuthi bobufakazi lobo butholakalayo noma izinto esizitholayo zikwazi ukuthi zivumelane zixhasane ekusiletheneni isithombe esokuthi kungabe kubani.
Yes, my lord. That's my answer.
Thank you, Brigadier. I quite agree with you there. I think you're referring to the totality or the cumulative effect of factors that you had to consider. I quite agree with you on that one. Thank you. Now, in the same vein, that people in the House said that the gun toter had dreadlocks, you would agree with me that so many people out there do wear dreadlocks, not so?
Ngivumelana nawe ke nokuthi ufanele uthi masibheka sibheke ubufakazi obuphelele bubonke kodwa ke ngicela ukuthi ke ngibuze ukuthi siyavumelana yini nokuthi ke baningi abantu ababa nama dreadlocks.
My lord, we totally agree that there are many out there. However, I don't have any other of those people whom it is alleged on Cleveland 9/6 of 2015 that he was found in possession of a certain firearm, and that firearm was then linked to the bullet that was discharged at this crime scene. The only person that has been linked to that firearm is accused number 3.
Yebo ngiyavuma kodwa ke akubona bonke labantu abanama dreadlocks engathiwa batholakala benesibhamu and isibhamu ke sikwazi ukuthi siqhunye nale zinhlamvu ezatholakala endaweni yesigameko umsola wesithathu kuphela kanjani.
Thank you. Now, that statement that it was accused number 3 who was found in possession of the firearm that was allegedly linked with the sin, that is your contrition, not so? As when you investigated this matter, not so?
Please, that is not correct. We have Sergeant Dlamini and Masondo who testified, as well as Lieutenant Colonel Mangena. In other words, it's not the opinion of this witness.
As it please the court, my lord, the court would remember that on the previous occasion in this very same trial, when the same statement was made, I cautioned this witness that determination as to who was in possession of that firearm is yet to be made by this court. So for this witness to say it was accused person who was found in possession of this firearm is a bit misplaced, because finally that determination has got to be made by this court, which is the reason why I am saying to him, based on his investigation, it was accused number 3 that allegedly was found in possession of that firearm. We're still busy with allegations now. That is basically my line of cross-examination on this witness.
In fact, my colleague reminds me that Advocate Mnisi did admit that that firearm belongs to accused number 3. We're trying to find that relevant portion in the record.
That is again misplaced, my lord. Whether or not the firearm that was found in possession of accused number 3 is the firearm that is linked with the sin where Senzo Meyiwa was killed, it's a factor that will ultimately have to be decided upon by this court after hearing evidence. So it can thus not be simply said that because that firearm was allegedly found in possession of accused number 3, then all of a sudden, even before the court makes a finding, then we are speaking of the fact that that firearm is the one that is linked with the sin. I think that is where me and the state and everybody that represents the state differ in terms of what the law says, my lord. We cannot, right in the midst of a trial, state it as a matter of a fact that it is this firearm that was linked with the scene, when that aspect is still being investigated and it has to be decided at the end of it all, my lord. That is where my point is.
Well, without belaboring the point, the witness says that's what the evidence so far has established. You know, there's nothing wrong in the witness advancing that, you know, that proposition that the evidence establishes that a firearm was found in accused number 3's possession. That firearm is linked to a fired bullet that was found on the scene, according to the evidence of Lieutenant Colonel Mangena. There's nothing wrong in that one.
That is argument, my lord. That is the argument that me and the state will have to come and present to the court with a view to try and we're going to share in, you see, with a view to try and convince the court whether or not it is that firearm. The state is going to come and say the court should find that it is that firearm, and I'll be standing here trying to convince the court that it is not that firearm, my lord, despite the fact that it could have been found in possession of accused. So, but the issue is to say now, in the middle of the determination, in the middle of advancing evidence, therefore, we should then conclude that it is that firearm. It's misrepresentation of fact of its superlative degree, my lord. Which is the reason why I am saying to this witness that when you are saying that the firearm, except for these all other pointers that you tried to investigate that would link accused number 3 to the commission of this offense, the fact that you are saying the firearm was found in his possession, it's your opinion. Because I am basically saying it could be your opinion as per your investigation, because that determination is still being busy with it. We have not concluded on that aspect. The court might find otherwise. That is basically what I'm saying, my lord. I'm not so sure whether. Sure. There's still a lot of evidence that will still have to come, my lord. The court will recall that, and Ms. Ramsipili is reminding me very respectfully, my lord, that we also having our own ballistic expert on that issue. So it is very premature. Not only very premature, it is non-existent at this stage of the trial to say that that firearm is linked, that the firearm that was found in possession of Mr. Mnube is the one that is linked with the scene where the deceased was killed. I'm just sounding a word of caution, my lord. That is what procedure is all about. I'm not so sure whether I need to proceed, my lord.
Yeah, I'm listening.
I'm done with my submission.
Okay, yeah, right.
Thank you, my lord. The question was, when you say, I'm well aware of the fact that there's been an objection. So I'm not so sure whether the objection is upheld or the objection has not been upheld. But nonetheless, when you say that the firearm that was linked with the scene was found in possession of accused number 3, up until this stage of the trial, that is still your own view in respect of investigation that you had. So,
uma uthi wena isibhamu lesi sathola kala kumsolwa wesithathu yiso lesi sibhamu esasetshenziswa lapho, lokho ke kusho ukuthi kusengaphambi kwesikhathi ukuthiwa phecelezi ngesilungu premature. Akuyona into esingamkelwa kuthiwe isiyamkela njengento eyenzeka. Kusho ukuthi lokhu mina indlela into engifuna ukuyichaza kwena ukuthi lokhu kuwumbono wakho nje kuphela.
My lord, no. And that is why when I was dealing with this part of the firearm, I've always been cautioned to mention Cleveland 96 of 2015, because that is where you find statements. It's a fact. We've disclosed that docket. And if I cannot refer to statements or statements of the people of the police officers rather who found the firearm, then I wouldn't know how to then to actually present this evidence, because that's how investigation led me to DivNet 96 of 2015. In that docket, statements are made where it is alleged, and I've used this term, but we didn't find each other well with Advocate Mnisi, that it is alleged that the firearm in question was found in possession of accused number 3. For that matter, my lord. Subsequent to us looking at this matter, and when it was tested, there was a scientific report, my lord, that is forensic evidence given to me, which says the firearm seized under this case number.
As it is the court, Brigadier Gininda, are you aware that my question was with regard to the dreadlocks, not the firearm?
No, but it's different now, my lord. It was asked differently. What I was asked now is that I was making my own conclusion to say the firearm that was found in position of number 2 is the one that discharged the bullet that was found at the crime scene. That we move from that part. That's my understanding of the last question, my lord.
Thank you.
And I was answering that last question, my lord.
Thank you. At the inception of my cross-examination to you, really not at the inception, but in the process of my cross-examination to you, you made mention of the fact that you approached towards Sitwala and Madlala. Can I read the paper now? But nonetheless, I think you said you approached Mthokozisi Twala and Mr. Madlala with a view to find out from them whether they would be able to attend an identification parade or not, and one of them told you about, actually it's Twala who told you that 50-50 he could be able to go there, but it's a 50-50 situation, and Madlala said to you he's not sure whether he'd be able to identify those people, not so?
So khumbula ukuthi wathi wena ukhuluma noMthozi Sithwala noMadlala ukuthi bangaya yini ukukhomba wathi cha hayi kungenzeka bangakwazi ukuthi bakwazi ukuphinde bamkhombe lo muntu akunjalo.
My lord, my recollection is that it is Mr. Madlala who said 50-50, but the essence of their statements, both of them, they said they were not sure. They didn't say they can identify, but they said they were not 100% sure that they will be able to do it. And statements to that effect were obtained and attached to the docket and disclosed, my lord.
Statement zatholakala kubona bechaza ukuthi abanaso isiqiniseko sokuthi bangaphinde bakwazi ukubakhomba. Ngicabanga ukuthi omunye wabo uyena wathi owakhuluma ngalo 50%, kodwa ke i-statement zabo zithi cha abanaso isiqiniseko esiphelele sokuthi sibangakwazi ukubakhomba.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is what Mthokozisi Twala, the person that you spoke to, says in one of his affidavit. And I'm going to refer you to an affidavit that is marked A113. That was commissioned on the 14th of December 2017 in Durban by Abednego Shibiri. I don't know whether it's Shiburi or Shibiri. Shibiri, yes. 2017. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard you referring to Mr. Shibiri. I'm not so sure if this is the one.
Yes, my lord.
Thank you. Now, A113. An affidavit of Mthokozisi Twala. Now, this is information that we got from the state. Now, in paragraph 6, this is what it says. Let me just check if, just to give a bit of a background, I can't start it in paragraph 5. Okay, let us start in paragraph 5. He says, or let us start it in paragraph 4, actually in paragraph 4. He says from paragraph 4, I hereby wish to clarify, I hereby clarify that the guy who was carrying the firearm, who was at the front when he entered the house, he was carrying the firearm in his right hand. It's very clear. He demanded money and cell phones. I can't remember what language he used. I think he was speaking in isiZulu or Sesotho. Paragraph 5. I can't describe the firearm the suspect was carrying, as it happened fast and I was scared. The firearm was blackish in color. I could see the front portion of the firearm. Paragraph 6, this is what it says. The suspect didn't say much. He just demanded the cell phones and money. The suspect was wearing a hoodie jacket and the hoodie was covering his head. I could see the dreadlocks protruding through the hoodie near his ears. Paragraph 7. He says the suspect's complexion was in between light and dark. He was not more light or darker. I want to state further that when I say a gun or revolver, I mean the same thing, meaning a handgun. I don't know the different types of firearm. That is the end of paragraph 7. But what I want to take you through there is what is contained in paragraph 6, where he says, the suspect didn't say much. The suspect didn't say much. He just demanded the cell phones and money. Suspect was wearing a hoodie jacket and the hoodie was covering his head. I could see the dreadlocks protruding through the hoodie near his ears. Now, when we received the case docket, having read this statement, did you have a consultation with Mr. Twala, with Mr. Mthokozisi Twala with regard to this description that is contained in paragraph 6?
Ngicela ukubuza ukuthi wahamba yini wayoxoxisana noMthokozisi Twala mayelana nalencazelo elethwa lapha ku-paragraph 6.
My Lord, yes. As I've said, there was a consultation between us and Mr. Twala, and if one looks at his statements, my Lord, he made various statements. This is not the only statements. And if you look at the description, it is not constant. At the end of the day, my Lord, that's what he said with regard to the description, and I don't want now to interpret what he may have said when he came to testify. But yes, during the interview and engagement with him, we did approach him about these statements, but he made different statements. And every time he made a statement to different individuals, my Lord, there was this inconsistency in terms of the description, and we can go through his statement, my Lord, you will find it. The only statement which I took from him directly was in relation to the ID parade. And the issue of the demand of cell phone and money, that was consistent with what other witnesses said, because all of them says when the intruders came in, they demanded cell phone and money in Zulu. So there was consistency. But insofar as the description of the intruders, and it's not only isolated to Mr. Twala. Even if you look at Tumelo Madlala's statement, Zandi, where they made different statements, there's no consistency. What is consistent is that the intruders demanded cell phone and money. One was carrying a firearm, or rather, the one in front was carrying a firearm, and there's a description of dreadlocks. The other description, my lord, really, they are flimsy, to be honest. They are not, so it's not like a book which has a proper sequence where they sing the same tune. There is inconsistencies, and that is the fact, my lord.
Engifuna ukuthi ngiyavuma kodwa engifuna ukusho nakho ukuthi umthozi sithola kusona kuphela le-statement asikhipha. Ziningana iy'tatimenti azikhipha, kodwa ke sikubonayo kulezi statement ukuthi izincazelo azikhipha kulezi statement iy'ncazelo ezehlukayo. Kodwa ke mina istatement engakwazi ukuthi ngigcine ngikhulume naye ngaso, sikhulumisana ngaso ilesi se-ID parade. Kodwa ke kuyavela kubo bonke ofakazi ukuthi yebo bafike bacela ama-cellphone nemali, and ngoba wonke umuntu osinika ufakazi usitshela kona lokho. Ngoba kuyavela nakuTumelo Madlala nakuzandi ukuthi ke lo wayengaphambili wayephethe isibhamu futhi wayephethe nama-dress clothes. Kodwa ke izincazelo eziningi esizitholayo uthola ukuthi iy'ncazelo ziyehlukana.
And when I say the differ, my lord, I'm referring to the description. I'm sure Adv Mnisi have seen them. I mean, if we go through the statements, insofar as the description of the intruders, you find slight differences. But what is constant with all the statements, my lord, is that there were two intruders. One was armed with firearm. There was a struggle. That is constant. It doesn't change. There was a struggle between the deceased and the intruders with the firearm, and there was that shot that was fired. And the demand of Zulu, of money in Zulu, that is constant. So insofar as the description, that is where it's not accurate, my lord. I don't want to say it's not accurate, it's not aligned. So you don't get the same pattern as you get where it is said there were two intruders, one was armed with a firearm, there's a struggle. That is constant with all the statements. The demand of cell phone and money is constant. The firing of the shot and the intruders running away, that is constant. The differences comes in the description, my lord, of the perpetrators.
Engifuna ukuphinde ngichaze lapho ukuthi yebo kukhona lapho into ekhulunywa ofakazi efanayo khona, kodwa ke uma sesichaza ukuthi labantu babenjani kukhona ukwehlukana. Kodwa ke uma sesikhuluma ngokuthi babe bengaki bonke bathi babe babili, uma bekhuluma ngesibhamu bonke bathi oyedwa wayephethe isibhamu, bonke bayakhuluma ukuthi kwaba nokuzabalisana ukuzabalaza phakathi mufi nomunye walaba ngenile. Futhi bayachaza nokuthi lapho ke kwadutshulwa, bayachaza futhi nokuthi bafika lapho ke bafuna ukuthi banikwe izinto ezithize bekhuluma ngesizulu, bonke futhi bakhuluma ngento eyodwa mabethi babaleka.
Yes, my lord, that's my answer.
So the gist of my question is, having gone through this statement, you never went back to him for purposes of clarifying what he's saying here.
Manje ngisho ukuthi emva kokuthola le statement awuzange ubuyele kubona ukuthi uyocacisa ukuthi babethini.
My lord, I consulted with him. As I said, these witnesses, my lord, made various statements. I'm not so sure whether one would have created that impression, because my understanding, when you interview a witness, the witness must tell you what they saw. You don't guide them to tell what you think the investigation is going. They've explained on numerous occasions to different investigating officers. Mine was to establish that this is his statement, this is what he recalled, and obviously seek clarities, which was done even when we consulted with the DPP, my lord. Not to guide him to say now, no, this is not in line with, because then you'll be influencing the investigation. That's not how it's done. That's what he said before my time. And when my time came, I took the statement of what he told me regarding the identification, because that's the truth. You want the truth to be presented as they are, not to sugarcoat it, my lord. So what is there, it's how it was, my lord.
Njengoba bese ngichazile ukuthi ke lawo ufakazi laba bakhipha istatement nje uMandla Madlalo wakhiphe istatement ezakhishwa lapha zazi iziningana, kodwa ke uma ngiya kumsolo kumuntu ufakazi ngiyobuza umbuzo ngiye ngimbuze ngoba ngifuna ukutholisisa kahle ukuthi iqiniso leyini, angiyena ukuthi ngiyomtshela ukuthi khona abakhipha ezinye istatement ezingahambisani naloko kusho. Cha, ngiyofuna mina ukuthola ukuthi uthini nokuthola isiqinisekiso sokuthi yini ayichaza noma yini ayisho lapha, ngoba ekugcineni sizama ukuthola iqiniso.
Brigadier Gininda, yes, ultimately, did you or did you not consult with him on the aspect that I've just put before court that are contained in the statement?
I did, my lord. That's why I'm saying my understanding, when you consult with someone, my lord, you take them through what they've said, and you obviously try to get an indication of whether there is any other recollection or anything that they want to add or minus, my lord. So that's the purpose of the consultation. So that was done.
Yebo ngakwenza lokho ukuthi ngiyomkhulumisana naye manje ukuthi wayetheni ngasekuqaleni, ngoba engifunayo uma ngiyokhulumisana naye ngifuna ukuthi angichazele ukuthi yini ayisho nokuthi mhlambe khona yini enye into ayikhumbulayo noma ukukhona yini okunye afisa ukuthi akunezezele. Yikho ngithi mina ngaya kuyena sokhulumisana.
Thank you, Brigadier. You constantly keep on referring to Exhibit HA. I'm sorry. You constantly keep on referring to Exhibit HH and JJ throughout your evidence, not so?
Ushayela ukuthi ukhulume ngombukiso lana HH no JJ akunjalo?
Well, not throughout my evidence, my lord. I refer to HH and JJ when it is relevant. When, for example, I said I had to take that exhibit into account when I was doing the collaboration. So not throughout the evidence, but yes, I've mentioned the two exhibits a number of times, my lord.
Angikhulumi nje ngaso zonke ikhathi, kodwa ngikhuluma uma kufanele u-HH no JJ ngikuveze ngoba ngizama ukuchaza ukuthi kukhona ukuhambisana kobufakazi esabuthola.
Thank you. The reason why you constantly keep on referring to JJ, or as you would put it, as and when there's a need for you to do that, is because you want to go and tap into Exhibit HH or JJ with a view to find a corroboration that is independent from what HH and JJ are saying, not so?
Ngijwayele ukuveza u-HH and JJ ngoba uzama ukuthi ke ulethe ubufakazi obuletha ukuhlangana kobufakazi obuzimele obuhlukile ku-HH no JJ.
Sorry, my lord, I don't understand the last part, the independent part. So I followed the beginning, but the independent part of your question, I've missed it.
Angikutholisisi indaba yangasekugcineni ukuthi umuthi obuzimele uchaza ukuthini. Owasekuqaleni ngiyakuzwisisa.
Evidence of a collaborative nature, not so. In other words, you go to JJ and HH and determine whether the evidence, which is of a collaborative nature, aligns with what is contained in HH and JJ, not so?
Kusho ukuthi ke wena umuthi ufuna ubufakazi obuhambisanayo, kusho ukuthi ufuna ubufakazi obuhambisana no HH no JJ akunjalo?
Yes, that's correct, my lord.
Adi yebo kunjalo.
Thank you. So basically, it is this Exhibit HH and JJ which are pioneering, or which actually are pioneering the motive to further probe in order to find out whether there is collaborative evidence or not so?
Ukuthi u-HH no-JJ usebenzisa njengamafulandlela okukhombisa ukuthi kungaba khona obunye ubufakazi obuvumelanayo kunjalo.
Not only that, my lord. So not only that, there were other factors. That's why I said there were other, for example, the statements of people who had access to accused 3, because we are dealing with accused 3, who gave statements that obviously corroborate what may be contained in Exhibit HH. But the collaboration that didn't start there, my lord. The investigation started when accused 1 started making statements. And then we moved from there, and then it then gave rise to the existence of HH and JJ. But where the whole exercise started with the citing of accused 1 and the confessions that he made, and then moving up to HA and JJ. The reason I'll always go back to HH, my lord, and JJ when I talk to Advocate Mnisi is it is the presence of accused 3, to say the name of accused 3 started to come into existence or known to us when HH and JJ was then taken, because it was there where it was said these were the other people that we were not aware of, and then we started investigating, my lord. But then subsequent to that, there were statements around. I've mentioned the name of Kwabeni, I've mentioned the name, I think, of Simpwe Butelezi. I won't go to the details, but I'm saying we've mentioned those names because those were statements that were implicating accused 3, so to say, my lord.
Kukhona itatimende eziningi eziveza umsolo wesithathu ngoba uphenyo lethu laqala ukuthi lukhiphe leli gama uma sekuvela istatement singamsolo wokuqala neconfession eyavela ngoba igama lika umsolo wesithathu lavela naku HH naku JJ kodwa akona kodwa ngoba khona nezinye ke itatimend ezinjengo statements sikaButhelezi la kwalavela khona igama la.
Yes, my lord, that's it.
Thank you. You know, on the same vein that you constantly keep on tapping into Exhibit HH and JJ, it also dawned in me that I could probably find something either in Exhibit HH or JJ that I could use through this process of cross-examination.
Ngibona ukuthi ngibangibheka we-HH no-JJ kuningi okuye ngakuthola engakusebenzisa kulokubuza kwami imibuzo.
Now, when I went through, and the reason why I did that is because of your constant referral to Exhibit JJ and HH. Now, when I went through Exhibit JJ on the Ronio form, I noted that there's a number that is annotated there, which was written by Mrs. V. Cronje, which number reads FFC 04415/2020. Now when okay, let me stop there for purposes of interpretation.
Can I please get the number of the FFC?
It's 04415
of 2020.
Of 2020, yes.
Manje ke kukhona ke inamba evelayo lapha kuloku kwabhala uVicro nye le number engathi ijwayele ukuvela lapho uFFC 04415/2020.
Now I'm going to be very sincere with you. I've done a number of or I've been involved in circumstances where confessions and confession forms are done. Then this number actually struck me very strange as to, with the number of confessions that I've done, I've never come across such a number. Then I had to go and listen to the record of the testimony of Mrs. Cronje, and I noted that this is a number that, according to her, came from Mr. Mujiyako.
Sengike ngala bheka kaningi ama confession enziwa abantu kodwa ngathi mangihlangana nale number lena yangeza ukuthi ngisole ngase ngimbuela ufakazi kwajeje Mrs. Vigronye ngayolalela ukuthi kuthiwani and ngathi uma sengilalele ngabona ukuthi ngathi le number lena ivela iqhumene negama lika Mujiyako.
Now, this is just by way of a background. Then I then started to ask myself, what could then be the relevance of this number in this confession?
Manje ngase ngizibuza ukuthi manje ke le number lena eqinisweni isisiza ngani kulokwamukela icala okukhona.
And as I'm saying, that was checked by your consent referral to Exhibit JJ and Exhibit HH.
Lokhu ke kulethwa ke ukuthi wena usuthinte kakhulu HH no JJ.
Then I said, maybe this number is related to the document that was presented here at court, which was a confirmation of Mr. Mujiyako's registration with the Legal Practice Council.
Please come again.
I then, or let me put it this way, then my prosecutorial instincts kicked in. Then I thought, oh, maybe this number, this strange number, that FFC number, could be related to the document that was handed here at court, which concerned the registration of Mr. Mujiyako as a legal practitioner, which was handed in. I've got a copy of that document. It's just that I can't remember exactly what example was it. What exhibit was it, madam? May I confirm with my colleagues just to get a particular example, what exhibit was it? But the interpretation may proceed.
Ngase-ke ngithi ke kuvuka ke umsebenzi wami engangiwenza ngise umshushisi. Ngase ngithi angibheke ngathola ukuthi le number leni ingathi ihlobene nokubhaliswa kukaMujiyako njengomuntu osebenza kwezomthetho.
Now, we're still trying to find exactly what exhibit was it. Now, I also had a look at exhibit EE. Okay, just before I proceed. That number, that number that starts with FFC, I went through that document, which has got to do with the confirmation of registration of Mr. Mujiyako as a legal practitioner, and I could not find it. Then I remembered that there was an exhibit that was handed to court here as Exhibit EE, which is a copy of a charge sheet that came from Boxberg. Exhibit EE, it was a copy of a charge sheet that came from Boxberg. Attached to that copy of a charge sheet, it was also a letter that came from Mujiyako Attorneys Incorporated.
Ngithoma ngibheka le number le ku FF ngakhumbula ukuthi ivela lapha ku charge sheet evela eBoxberg nase kule ncwadi lena evela kubameli bakaMujiyako.
Now, I also went through that letter. This was just a letter that came from this Mujiyako attorneys, wherein they were informing the court that they were withdrawing as an attorney of record on behalf of accused number 2 in those Boxberg proceedings.
ngase ngibheka-ke nakule ncwadi evela lapha kamjiyako ngabona ukuthi oh ila ababezohoqisa ukuqhubeka nokusebenza nokuba abameli bekamsolwa wesibili phambi kwenkantolo.
I also went through that letter with a view to try and find out what could, to find out if that number, that FFC number, does actually appear on that letter. Despite my fervent efforts to do that, I couldn't find that number.
Ngayibheka yonke le ncwadi ngithi ngizama ukubona ukuthi le number lena ka-FFC iyavela yini lapho, kodwa-ke nanoma ngizamile ngagcina ngingakwazanga ukuyibona.
Reason being, I wanted to find out what could be the relevance of this number in this confession.
Ngizama ukutholisisa ukuthi-ke isizathu sokuba kube nale number lana kule confession kwakuyini.
I note that my colleague would want to say something.
Indeed, my lord. We submit firstly that this is not a question that this witness can answer, firstly, but secondly, Ms. Kronje testified, and her testimony was that this number represents a fidelity fund certificate. Fidelity fund certificate and a registration number. These are two different concepts, and we submit, my lord, that it will be unfair to confront this witness, firstly with this information, but secondly with the incorrect information. You can't compare the two. Fidelity fund certificate is one thing, and registration number of a practice is completely different. So the way that is being put to the witness might, and we say this with the greatest of respect, might be perhaps misleading to the witness, as these are two different things.
As it please the court, my lord. Probably my colleague was a little bit more in front of me when I'm taking it step by step, but nonetheless I'm getting to where my colleague is getting to, my lord. If I may just be afforded the opportunity to further explain. Now, remember, I'm still trying to find the relevance of this number in this correspondence. Now, I thought, no, maybe that FFC number that was read into record by Mrs. Kronje may be married, it may be linked with that number that is contained in the letter that confirms Mr. Mchiako's registration with the Legal Practice Council. So then I said, no, but let me not speculate.
Ngithake ngisabhekile ukuthi le number evela Mrs. Kronje mhlambe-ke ingabe kunokuxhumana okuthize nale ncwadi evela kulaba abameli bakamjiyako, kodwa ngathi-ke kungcono ngingaqageli.
Because it came to me that when I analyzed this evidence, this exhibit JJ, it dawned to me that this number could not have been written here in vain. There was a specific reason why it could have been annotated in this form.
Kwafika kumina ukuthi le number lena ayizange ibhalwe nje, sikhona isizathu esithize esenza ukuthi le number lena ize ifakwe kuleli form le.
May I therefore say, just to quell my anxiety as to the reason why this number was written here, may I therefore request through this court that the investigating team, remember, we can do that on our own, but remember we financed by the defense of the accused person is financed by legal aid, which is a subsidiary of the state. So if I request the state to assist, that's no offense. But in short, may I therefore request that maybe probably one member of the investigating team go to the relevant authorities just to put this matter at rest, to find out what this number, that FFC number is, and what is it really all about. Can we marry this number FFC to the number that was confirmed as belonging to Mr. Mchiako on the letter that confirmed his registration with the Legal Practice Council? This is just my request. Thank you.
Sicela ukuthi ke njengoba ke obakhokhela ke abameli babasolwa abakwa legal aid and futhi bangaphansi ke kumbuso. Sicela ukuthi mhlambe ke la omunye wabaphenyi ayosihlolela le number lena eqala ngo FFC ukuthi le number lena iphumaphi itholakalapi ukuze senelekise ngifuna ukuthi ngigcine nganele ukuthi le number lena ukuzingene la yayingene ngasiphi isizathu nokuthi iqhumana kanjani nale ncwadi lena yakwamuji yakho.
Now, I wish to request that I be allowed by the court, with due respect, to pause the aspect of my cross-examination on this point, pending the outcome of the request
Ngicela ukuthi ke
that I've made.
ngicela ukuthi ke ngimise umbuzo wami mayelana nalo leli phuzu leli kuze kufinyelele lapho ke esizothola incazelo ephelele mayelana nalo leli phuzu.
In the meantime, I'll proceed with other aspects of the evidence.
Manje ke okwamanje ngizoqhubeka nanokunye.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes, my lord. So, sorry, before you proceed,
Okay,
as
sorry.
Advocate Mnisi, I want to say something,
Yes.
yeah, in light of what you've said. So, the first part, my lord, with regards to HH and JJ, I think it's important to put it in the right context, because I think so we are moving to the end of the stick. My understanding is that I've constantly referred to HH and JJ in my testimony, which is correct. But I think the part that is being missed by Advocate Mnisi is that it is him, when he started with the cross-examination, who took me to HH and JJ. That's how we started. We didn't start directly with the cross-examination insofar as accused number 3 started. When he started with the issues surrounding accused number 2, and they were relating to the confessions. The court will recall that when he started, there was constant hands up by accused 2, instructions will be taken by Mr. Ramsipil, he will pause in his cross-examination, proceed thereafter. The last time when we were in court on Thursday, we even had to adjourn early, because the request from him was that he needs to consult with accused 2, with Mr. Ramsipil and himself, so that then proper instructions can be given for him to proceed. So that is where exactly HH and JJ started. So that is the proper context of where it started. And then it then followed, obviously, that because it was now being used, I should refer to it, because that's how we started, my lord. That is the first part. Now, with regard to the request that is being said about this number, my lord, I think I'll take guidance from the court or from the state as to whether should I get involved. I would like to assist. As I've always opened my hand to Advocate Mnisi, but the last time the court will recall, when I was asked, and I'm saying that with greatest respect, really, I don't mean to rub shoulders in a bad way. I'm saying it with greatest respect, but I'm trying to avoid a similar situation. I came back to court and I wanted to respond to the request he made to me, and then I was stopped aggressively to say, leave it, those issues will be dealt with the state. So I'm not sure whether this request is directed to me or is going to via the state, and I'm trying to avoid us finding ourselves in that similar situation, my lord.
As it pleases the court, my lord, naturally, I would really instruct, request Mr. Gininda to go and do something, or the investigating team to go and do something without the leave of the court. I am basically requesting through the court that we be assisted with this information so that we can also come and assist the court. Look, at the end of it all, what we do here is not for us. It's to assist the court to come to a just and equitable finding. That's just the request. It has just been indicated, my lord, by the state that they will assist. They can confirm it, my lord.
Yes, my lord, we'll pursue this with the LPC.
As it is a court, my lord.
How does it bind me?
Well, we're just merely saying this in the light of the request by Advocate Mnisi that he be assisted, so we're just offering that assistance.
Yeah, but it doesn't bind this court, okay? Because a trial is an adversarial process. That's basically what it is. So this court can't be advising people to go and investigate whether that donkey's got teeth or not.
Yes, my lord. It's out of courtesy that we're saying because the witness is already under oath.
Because you say you want to do it through me. It can't be done through me. And I can't advise you how to go about cross-examining on behalf of your client.
Yes, my lord.
The
But
same thing with the state.
yes.
Okay. But if you want to play baseball together, I can't stop you.
As it is the court, my lord, I think me and the state were at Eden that we will be assisted, my lord. We will definitely not involve the court. In an event that we do not get that assistance, we will not come back to the court and say, yeah, but my lord, this is what the state did. I know what state versus Tony Ngeni says, my lord, with regard to an arrangement that is made between the parties, that may not bind the court, my lord. That's very succinct in that case of state versus Tony Ngeni.
Yeah, 1986.
Yes, my lord. Yes. May I then proceed? No, I'm not so sure. We're left with 6 minutes. I need to get into a new aspect of it all. I'm not so sure whether I will be committing an offense if I were to request that we step on other people's toes and just stole 6 minutes. We adjourn in advance. We take the 6 minutes in adjournment before 1 o'clock. Because in any event, I'm starting with a new aspect when you're coming back, my lord. May we then adjourn.
What does the state say?
That's in order, my lord. That's in order.
Okay. All right, let's adjourn until 2 o'clock.